So, ladies and gentlemen, the 2025 NBA draft is tomorrow. Yes, the 2025 NBA draft is tomorrow. And if you're a guy like me who's been covering the NBA draft for all season or the entirety of the season, you're very excited because now these prospects that we've been covering closely throughout the entire season will have a home and they will have a team to call their own. And if you guys know me, you guys know that I believe there is a ton of talent in this draft, whether it's at the top of the draft with guys like Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, and Kamon Malawach, whether it's guys in the middle of the draft, guys like Colin Murray Boyles, guys like Cedric Coward, guys like Jace Richardson, or towards the later part of the first round with guys like Juwan Behringer, Noah Penda, and Ryan Kalkbrenner. There is so much talent in this draft. There are teams that can make real improvements in this draft, and we're going to be doing trades in this mock draft, so let's get started. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the first pick of the draft is going to be Cooper Flagg. This is something that has been locked all season. Cooper Flagg has always been the number one prospect in my eyes. Now, there were times where Dylan Harper was mentioned to be the number one prospect in this draft. I'm not the biggest fan of Dylan Harper being the number one prospect in this draft. I think he's clearly number two, though. But Cooper Flagg going to the Dallas Mavericks. There's not much that I haven't said about this already. I've already talked about my thoughts with him going to Dallas. I think he's probably going to play the three because Anthony Davis has been very, very adamant on wanting to play the four. So I think the Dallas Mavericks are going to grant his wishes and have him play the four throughout next year. And they're probably going to start Derek Lively next to Anthony Davis. They just re-signed Daniel Gafford for a three-year extension for about $60 million. Everything that I've spoken about with Cooper Flagg and how he can play on this Dallas Mavericks defense has been talked about in a previous video. If you guys want to watch that video, the link will be in the description. I really do think Cooper Flagg can thrive with this team. At Duke, they played a really switchable lineup. They had a lot of guys playing at the top of the perimeter, whether it was Cooper Flagg and Kamon Malawach protecting the rim as a low man, or Kamon Malawach playing up top and Cooper Flagg protecting the rim as a low man. I think he has the talent to disrupt actions, play passing lanes, and rim protect, and I also think he can switch on to the perimeter, but I wouldn't use him as a point of attack defender this early. I wouldn't use him as a point of attack defender. I would use him as a roamer. You have so much versatility with this defensive team that you don't need to have Cooper Flagg as your point of attack defender. I think Naji Marshall and Max Christie will probably be on the floor at all times, whether it's Max Christie or Naji Marshall or maybe even PJ Washington. I would use Cooper Flagg as a roamer because that's where I feel he is best. He can disrupt actions, play passing lanes, and protect the rim as a help defender in all of those different opportunities. And this year, when they had Kamon Malawach playing at the top or Sion James being the point of attack defender, Cooper Flagg has really disrupted a lot of actions, disrupted a lot of plays. So imagine that's Naji Marshall or Anthony Davis playing at the top. The Lakers did it when Anthony Davis was in LA, and it just didn't work because they didn't have the defensive personnel. But I think Anthony Davis could work in situations like that. Now, do you want Anthony Davis being at the top of the perimeter every play? No, but they have the versatility of this team to really become one of the best defenses in the league, in my opinion. Now, offensively, I don't know how much you're going to trust him as a lead creator. I still think there is a little bit more raw ability with his offensive game. I do think he's a very good offensive player and he has a very high offensive potential, but I could see a world where he's not the best offensive player coming in because he doesn't have the best handle. He didn't finish the ball well around the rim in the tournament. He's shown playmaking chops. He's shown dribble drive chops, pull-up shooting that's gotten better throughout the season. And he has some real mismatch attacking potential, but that is what I would give it. I would give it potential. I don't think that's just going to transfer over to the NBA extremely well to start out, especially without having a lead guard to really be there to really create opportunities for him. Now, I do think he'd be a really good pick and roll candidate, a really good pick and pop candidate. I think he can attack guards on the perimeter, but as for consistently creating offense for himself and others, I think you may have to wait to see that. Now, as for the San Antonio Spurs, this is like, we can get this out the way. I think Dylan Harper is the pick for San Antonio. And a lot of people are saying, oh, you have De'Aaron Fox, you have Stephon Castle. Why would you draft Dylan Harper here? I just think Dylan Harper's the best player available. And when I look at Victor Wembanyama and how good he is right now at 21, 22 years old, you have to match his timeline. One thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to be impatient with Victor Wembanyama. That's not what I'm going to do. I wouldn't risk 10 years of high-level basketball with Victor Wembanyama for a 2-year championship contender window. I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I think Dylan Harper is the guy to play with Victor Wembanyama. I think his rim penetration is phenomenal. I think his ball handling is phenomenal. I think the only thing that he struggles with right now is the conversion. I think he's a really good finisher. He gets to the free throw line exceptionally well, but the conversion around the mid-range and the shot making is something that has to get better. But this is somebody that can put the ball on the floor and get to wherever he wants on the floor, and he can create really good looks, whether it's out of pick and roll, dribble drive, out of closeouts, or just playing off ball. I think Dylan Harper is really good in that aspect, but he would be my number 2 scorer in the draft just because of the conversion, because he's not that great of a mid-range shooter. He's not that great of a three-point shooter, but he does create the separation to where I'm confident that he can be a really good shooter in these situations. I think Dylan Harper is going to be a top 5 point guard in the league one day. I think he's going to be one of the better scoring guards in the league one day. I would give him like a Cade Cunningham, Jalen Brunson-esque type of comparison, just because he gets downhill very well. He plays with a patience that Cade Cunningham plays with. He has footwork potential around the rim that Jalen Brunson has, and he has that insane free throw rate. So I think Dylan Harper is going to be very good for the San Antonio Spurs, and I think this is the guard big duo that is going to be for the future for the San Antonio Spurs. I'm just not as high on De'Aaron Fox as a lot of people is, and I've said on this video multiple times that the San Antonio Spurs, in my opinion, should not have traded for him. But it is what it is. You know, things happen. You still go get the best player on the board. I don't think this is a question. Now, for the Philadelphia 76ers, there has been rumors that they won't trade back because they want to stick and pick here at 3. So, yeah, I'm going to stick and pick here at 3. I'm going to take VJ Edgecombe here. I don't think they're going to re-sign Quentin Grimes. I think Quentin Grimes is probably somebody that's going to go get a deal somewhere else. The Lakers. But I think VJ Edgecombe is probably the pick here. I think VJ Edgecombe is probably going to be the starting 2. He's probably not going to be that immediately, especially with Jared McCain having his rookie year stint that he had before he went down. But I think by the end of the year, VJ Edgecombe is probably going to be the starter for this Philadelphia 76ers team. I think as a transition player, offensively and defensively, he's phenomenal. There's a speed, strength, and athleticism aspect that just can't be matched with a lot of prospects in this draft. He's played with a level of pick and roll ability that I find very impressive, the way he's able to split pick and rolls, the first step out of the pick and roll, and the pull-up shooting ability that has gotten so much better. He's one of the best guard rim protectors in this draft. He's one of the best guard rebounders in this draft. This is somebody that can be a very good connector, but also has that all-star level potential. So VJ Edgecombe is going to be my pick here. At number 4, I'm going to be taking Trey Johnson here. And I think this is where the draft starts. I think the Hornets can go a multitude of different ways with where they decide to go in the NBA draft. I think they can go with Ace Bailey. I think they can go Trey Johnson, Kaman Malawach, or Kon Knipple. I think Trey Johnson has extremely high upside as an all-star player. He's the best scorer in the draft, in my opinion. I've seen a lot from him as a scorer, whether it's off-ball play, whether it's post play, whether it's mid-range tough shot creation, whether it's pick and roll play, and he's also a very underrated playmaker. And I think this is somebody that can fit with LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller extremely well. Now, I didn't take Kaman Malawach here because I think they still may have Mark Williams as an extreme talent. I think Mark Williams is a really good talent in the draft or in the NBA. I just think it's about him staying on the floor consistently, and I can understand a Malawach pick here, but I'm going to go Trey Johnson to be that high leverage scorer and making this Hornets team one of the most fun teams to watch and having a real building block if this team can stay healthy, and that's where they're going to go with the 4th pick in the draft. With the number 5 pick, I'm going to have the Utah Jazz taking Ace Bailey. I think they become one of the more athletic young teams in the NBA with Ace Bailey, Taylor Hendricks, Cody Williams, Isaiah Collier, and Walker Kessler. I think Ace Bailey, he still has a lot of upside. His draft stock has plummeted recently, and I still do think with the right development team, he can become one of the better scorers in this draft. I still think with the right potential and the right development team, he can be the best scorer in this draft. I mean, he's still 6'7". He's still extremely athletic. He's a really good tough shot maker, and you can use him off ball, and he has serious defensive upside. With his length and athleticism. It's extremely high upside, and I think Ace Bailey could be the guy that could turn this Utah Jazz team around if he has the right coaching staff, which I think, what's his name? which I think Will Hardy is one of the best young coaches in the NBA. And I think Ace Bailey could learn something from Lauri Markkanen. I think he can learn something from Will Hardy. And I think this is a really good pick, man. I think Ace Bailey is still one of the most talented prospects in this draft. And you just got to put him in the right system. And he's going to go number 5 here to the Utah Jazz. As for the number 6 pick, I'm going to be having the Washington Wizards select Kemon Malawach. This is something that I'm going to die on. This is the hill I'm going to die on. I think Kemon Malawach fits with the Washington Wizards like a glove. I think you put Alex Sarr at the 4, which is his preferred position, and you put Malawach at the 5. You have the twin tower defensive front court, and you have the switchability, the athleticism between the both of these guys. Alex Sarr has a little bit more offensive potential, so Alex Sarr would probably be your 4, but Malawach has real shooting upside. I love his jump shot for him. He can play on the perimeter as a defender. He can play in the pick and roll. He's an extremely good shot blocker. He stands at 7'1". He's 250 pounds. I think Kemon Malawach is the 3rd best prospect in this draft. I've said this multiple times. I've talked about Kemon Malawach all through this channel. You guys know how I feel about Kemon Malawach. I think they're truly building one of the best young defensive front courts with Malawach, Sarr, and Bilal Coulibaly. And now maybe going into next year, you get your young point guard or young shooting guard, and you really build out the young core of this team. So I have Kemon Malawach going number 6 to the Washington Wizards. At number 7, I'm going to have the New Orleans Pelicans selecting Kon Knueppel. Again, one of the more underrated players in this draft. Kon Knueppel is a fantastic player. He's the best shooter in this draft. He is one of the best pick and roll players in this draft. He's a very good passer. 3 assists. A lot of people are going to look at that and say, oh, he doesn't pass much. No, Kon Knueppel is a very, very advanced prospect when it comes to reading the defense out of pick and roll, whether it's making skip passes, pocket passes, whether it's kicking out to the perimeter. Kon Knueppel does that very well. He also has really good strength to him to where he can drive and create separation for a pull-up mid-range shot. He can drive and have the defense collapse because the strength is so damning that he has a good separation to get a layup. And he can also kick out of those situations. He's shot well off the ball. He doesn't seem like the best on-ball shooter right now, but I think he can get better in that aspect. So Kon Knueppel is going to be the pick for the New Orleans Pelicans at number 7. At number 8, I'm going to have the Brooklyn Nets take Jeremiah Fears. I think Jeremiah Fears is the pick here. I think he has extreme upside, all-star level upside. His first step is great. He's such a really good, difficult shot maker, and I think he's going to get better looks in Brooklyn. I think he can play under Jordi Fernandez. I think Jordi Fernandez is one of the better young coaches in the league, and he's going to be able to develop here in Brooklyn, and I think Brooklyn is setting themselves up for something really good in the future, and I think Jeremiah Fears starts with that. He doesn't have the best strength aspect, which is why I would have preferred Kon Knueppel over him as players right now. I think Jeremiah Fears' ceiling is just way higher. He's a solid playmaker out of dribble drive situations. He's a really good tough shot maker. He's really good at a pick and roll. He's a really good mid-range pull-up shooter. So Jeremiah Fears has a lot of talented offensive chops. Now, as for the Toronto Raptors, we're going to be taking Carter Bryant here. Once again, another connector at the 9th pick. Carter Bryant has really good off-ball defensive capabilities, whether it's playing passing lanes, being a rim protector off the help side, or just being a rebounder. You know, there's been multiple times where Carter Bryant has looked like a really good rebounder. He can also push the pace in transition with the ball in his hands or off ball. I think he could be used as a utility guy. This is a guy that could play the 2 through the 4 with his off-ball ability. The way he shoots the ball, I think, is very, very, very exceptional. His form is really good. I think he could be one of those really good connectors. I have a Mikal Bridges type of player comparison for him, so I think he's going to be a very good pick for the Toronto Raptors. Now, as for the Phoenix Suns, I think they go upside here. Kevin Durant is no longer on this team. I think you give Jalen Green a running mate, and I think that's Derek Queen. Now, for those who know, I have not really sung Derek Queen's praises just because I'm lower on him as a prospect. As a prospect, not as a player. I think Derek Queen is a very talented player, and I think Phoenix is just a team where he can probably be a little bit more loose. Phoenix is probably looking for a player that is just going to be probably like a Hail Mary, to be completely honest. Phoenix probably wants somebody that probably has that upside of being a consistent all-star because they don't have their picks in the future. They want to take a huge swing. And I think Derek Queen is the huge swing. I think he has a really high ceiling. I think he has a very low floor. But this is somebody that can win off the dribble consistently, whether it's his speed against bigs or his strength against wings and point guards. So, and he also shown a lot of playmaking chops, just being able to find guys when he's driving to the rim. He can run inverse pick and rolls as a ball handler with another 3-man that can shoot. I think there's a lot of things you can do with Derek Queen's game, but the thing that bothers me with the Derek Queen pick is, how are you going to implement him into your team? You already have Jalen Green, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. Are you going to let Derek Queen come in and be what Derek Queen was in college? Or are you asking him to come in and be a completely different player? I do think there's some success to him being a roller and a roll man, the way he's able to finish through contact, the way he's able to make quick decisions with the ball, the way he's able to attack switches. I think he could succeed there. But as a rim protector, as a player to defend in space, I don't love it. I don't love it. So that's the only drawbacks I have with Derek Queen. Very talented player, but that's just some of the pushbacks I have with him as a prospect. As for the Portland Trailblazers, I'm going to go Noah Essengay. I think Noah Essengay is the perfect guy to pair next to Deni Avdija. I think his transition game is phenomenal. It's just, as an offensive player, I think he's very, very raw. The jump shot is here and there. The ball handling is here and there, but you see the upside. You see the upside as an on-ball defender. So I'm going to have Noah Essengay go to the Portland Trailblazers with this pick. Up next, we have the Chicago Bulls here at 12. I'm going to have them take Thomas Sorber. I think with Vucevic most likely being gone this offseason, Thomas Sorber is a really good center. The rim protection is phenomenal. He also rim protects without fouling, which is very valuable. I think he's one of the more polished drop coverage defenders in the entire draft. And the physicality that he plays on the boards is going to put opposing bigs in foul trouble just because of the physicality and the fight alone that he does throughout the entire possession, and a lot of playmaking chops as an offensive player as well. I think Thomas Sorber is very good. As for the Atlanta Hawks, I'm going to have them take Colin Murray-Boyles. Just another wing that's very versatile and can play defense. He's one of the best defenders in this draft. I see a lot of Julius Randle and OG Anunoby comps for myself for him. I think with the mismatch attacking ability, he can be really good. That's where I get the Julius Randle from. I don't think he's as polished as Julius Randle was coming into the draft. I don't think he's the best post player. I think he relies a lot on strength, but with the proper spacing, I do think he plays really well as a mismatch attacker and a driver. And defensively, I see a lot of OG Anunoby, somebody that plays the pick and roll really well, whether it's being the point of attack defender or being the low man playing drop. His hands are really good, and he's a phenomenal rebounder. So Colin Murray-Boyles is one of my favorite prospects in this draft, and he's really good. As for the San Antonio Spurs with the 14th pick, this is probably a pick I would see being traded, but with this pick, I'm going to take Nick Clifford. I think Nick Clifford is a very, very, very experienced scorer. He can put the ball on the floor. He can make the right decisions. He's a solid passer and rebounder. He's a solid shooter, and he's a solid defender as well. And that's what the San Antonio Spurs need. They need some shooting and some offensive feel, because I think Dylan Harper may be a little tougher coming out into his rookie year, because it just always is for lead guards in the NBA. That's probably why he'll be coming off the bench for his first season. So Nick Clifford can come in and be a guy that just generates a level of offense that you may not get from a lot of other rookies. So, and for you guys that don't know, I did this in my last mock draft. I accidentally picked lottery, so camera cut. All right, I think I'm probably going to do something here that not a lot of people have done in the draft. I'm going to take Kasparas Jakučionis with the 15th pick for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the reason I'm going to take this is because I think from the NBA Finals, we've seen that the Thunder need some more relocators and off-ball shooters. And this is something that has happened multiple times in the NBA, and this is probably one of the reasons why we've had 7 straight different NBA champions, is because a lot of teams go into the next year not touching anything on their roster. I think if OKC really wants to be that dynasty that a lot of people talk about, they need to make some proper adjustments. I think they need to bring in more off-ball shooting. And with Kasparas Jakučionis, I know he is raw as a ball handler, but That's what I'm leaning on, his ball handling upside and how he could be able to take advantages and create advantages off the advantages that Shai and J-Dub are going to be able to create for him. Really good shooter, really good on ball creator, and really good passer. I think you can use that for SGA. And I think he can be what a lot of people want Nikola Topic to be. And he doesn't have to play immediately. He does not have to play immediately. He can come off the bench in very limited minutes. If he has it going from 3, keep him in. If he doesn't, sit him. And that's just going to be better for his development process. So I'm going to have Kasparas Giacochonis go there. As for the 16th pick, this is a fit I really love since the trade happened. By the way, we have not done a mock draft since that trade, so we have not been able to pick for the Grizzlies. I'm going to take Cedric Coward out of Washington State. I think he can play really well with Jaren Jackson and Ja Morant, just as an off-ball relocator, three-point shooter, defender, and solid passer. Solid passer. He has the strength to get wherever he wants on the floor. I don't necessarily think he has the ball handling or the burst. And once again, he's only played 6 games, so it's kind of hard to really gauge what he's going to be in the NBA. But from all the processing and the measurements, I think he can pan out as a really good player. So Cedric Howard's going to go to the Memphis Grizzlies here at 16. Now, as for the Minnesota Timberwolves, I think they should go shooting. But then again, it's like, ooh, there it is right there. It's Rasheer Fleming. It's Rasheer Fleming. This is the pick right here. I think Rasheer Fleming is a very versatile defender. If you end up losing Julius Randle, he could be a starter potentially. I'm not saying he's going to be a starter at this very second, but he can potentially be a starter. Very good transition player, good defender, and good three-point shooter. So I think Rasheer Fleming is the pick there. As for the Washington Wizards, I'm going to have them going Jaeger Demon. I think he has a lot of upside as an off-ball player, like a guard or a 2-guard or a small forward. I don't think he has the ball handle and the advantage creation to be a point guard, but having somebody that can shoot at that level and be one of the best passers in the draft is very valuable. And you pair him next to Kaman Malawach in this insane defense that I think they're going to build. I think this is a really good pick for the Washington Wizards. Now, as for the Brooklyn Nets in this scenario, I'm actually going to go Will Riley. I think Will Riley is one of those guys who's going to fall out of the lottery, but has a lot of upside as a scorer. He looked really raw in Illinois, but he's young. He's 19 years old. He's going to be very good. I think he can be very good in this league. So I'm going to be taking Will Riley with the 19th pick. As for the Miami Heat, part of me wants to take Jace Richardson here, but I'm still not out of the Nolan Traore stock. I'm still not out of the Nolan Traore stock. I think Nolan Traore can be so good in this league. If you guys go back and watch my way too early 2025 mock draft, which I really don't suggest you do back then, which was almost a year ago, I was not the best content creator at all. I wasn't close to what I am now. Anyway, I had Nolan Traore being a better prospect than Dylan Harper. Was I wrong? 100%. But I think Nolan Traore can be really good, man. And he has a phenomenal first step. The way he's able to split pick and rolls, the way he's able to put 2 feet in the restricted area. Now, the problem with that is he's not the best finisher. He's not the best mid-range shooter. He's not the best shooter. He's not the best decision maker. And he's not a good defender. Like, there's still so much you have to build on. And I don't know if Miami is the team that wants to build that. And apparently to me, Heat culture's dead. I'm going to talk about that later in the week, probably during the offseason. But I think if this is something Miami wants to do and really get a point guard, I think Nolan Traore could be a swing factor, man. If he becomes what I think he can, I think he could be a really good point guard for Miami. As for the Utah Jazz, they have another pick in this situation where they picked up Ace Bailey. I'm going to have them go Jace Richardson here. This is probably just going to be a backup 2 for the first start of the season. I think he's going to be really good, though. As an off-ball player, he is extremely short, so that's going to lead to a lot of mismatch hunting. But as an off-ball shooter and just a shooter period, I think he's really good. He doesn't show the necessary chops to be an on-ball creator. That's why he doesn't play the point. That's why he's like a 6'1", 2. Now, for the Atlanta Hawks, they have another pick here. I'm going to have them take Asanua. I think he can be somebody that benefits from Trae Young a lot. Just as a transition player, somebody that can play in the pick and roll, has some decent shooting potential and rebounding potential, and I like his reaction time. to where he can be a better rebounder and a better rim protector because of it. So Asad Newell is very solid. He just does not have that one thing that he stands out at. Everything he's just solid in as a prospect. So I think that's one thing that you would have to think about. As for the New Orleans Pelicans, I don't know where they go here. Like, part of me is just like, go best player available and call it a day, because there's just a real question mark around what the Pelicans are going to be doing. And I'm just going to go Noah Penda. I think Noah Penda is one of the best defenders in this draft. Now, offensively, there's a lot of questions there, but the Pelicans could use some defense because now Trey Murphy is in talks to be traded. Like, what are we doing? As for the Oklahoma City Thunder, I'm going to have them take, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to do that. That's a little crazy. Cam Jones has fallen in this draft so bad. That's like not good, chat. It's not good. I'm going to go Liam McNeely here. Once again, more shooting for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think that's what it is. I think Liam McNeely's draft stock fell because he got hurt. Now, there is still valid concerns. Don't love his ball handle. Don't love the defense. And as a role player in the NBA, you cannot be one-dimensional. I do think he has a quick first step, but I just don't think he has the ball handling to play with a team like OKC, who could have some real floor spacing questions. So I think he's a project. Well, I wouldn't say a project, but I would say there is some questions there as a player. Just once again, the ball handling and the defense. But as a shooter, I think he could be one of the best shooters in this draft. So we're going to be going Liam McNeely there. Now, as for the Orlando Magic, I'm actually going to have them take Danny Wolf. This is somebody who can play on the perimeter like a wing, but he's going to be a center, standing at 7 foot, and can stretch the floor considerably well. I think this is what Orlando could possibly use, just more floor spacing. Now, as for the Brooklyn Nets, I'm going to have them take a flyer on Juwan Beringer. He is extremely athletic. He's a project. He can be a rim runner, though, a rebounder, a lob threat, but he's an extremely big project for the Brooklyn Nets. Now, as for the Brooklyn Nets, though, I don't think they're going to keep all 4 of these picks. So if you're a team that doesn't have a pick in the first round like the Lakers and you want to draft Ryan Kalkbrenner, I think this is going to be like a very, very pivotal spot. But the last pick I'm going to be taking for the Brooklyn Nets is Adou Thiero. I think Adou Thiero is going to be really good. I think he's very strong. I think he's a good driver, and I think he's a good defender. This may not be a guy that has superstar potential, but this is a guy that definitely has starting level player on a playoff team type of potential, and I think Adou Thiero shows just that. As for the Boston Celtics, don't call me crazy, I'm actually going to go Drake Powell here. I think Drake Powell shows a lot of potential as a guy that you would love to have on your team. The jump shot could be a little better, but it has gotten better. The ball handle is consistent, has gotten more consistent, and he's one of the better defenders in this draft. And I think these are the type of guys that you would love to have sitting behind a Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I think he's probably going to be the new Jordan Walsh in this situation. I think Jordan Walsh is probably going to get some rotation minutes this year, and Drake Powell's probably going to be the Jordan Walsh. Drake Powell's going to watch. He's going to learn from Jaylen Brown. He's going to learn from Jason Tatum. He's going to learn from Joe Mazzulla. He's going to be playing with a lot more offensive talent with Anthony Simons now, and I think Drake Powell is a very underrated player in this draft. As for the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to have them taking upside again, and I think that is Hugo Gonzalez. But then Ben Seraph is on the board. Like, you can't miss out on Ben Seraph. Yeah, I'm going to take no, because they already have so much guards. Would I be wrong to say, hey, Bogolyup? What's the word, bro? This is tough. I'm going to go Hugo here. He's probably going to play the 3. And this is where the Suns probably bet on upside. I didn't want to take Ben Seraph because there's just an overload at the guard position. And I think Hugo Gonzalez has still shown some signs in Madrid, even though he didn't play much this year. But I think Hugo Gonzalez will be the pick in the first round. That is a little high for him. I think the past couple of picks I have picked a little high on Drake Powell and Hugo Gonzalez, but this is the end of the first round. I think a lot of these guys are going to just pick who their guy is instead of just being like, this may be a little too high. As for the Los Angeles Clippers, part of me wants to go Kalkbrenner here, so that's where I'm going to go. I think they could have used some more size at the center position off the bench, and I think Kalkbrenner provides that. Him playing behind Zoo is perfect too. Ben Simmons shown some signs as a really good defender at the 5 in the playoffs, but I think just having that size is what's going to really help, and he's a 4-year senior, so that's very, very, very positive for him as well. Now, this is the final mock draft, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys like this type of content, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. The NBA draft is tomorrow, so you guys know I am geeked up for that. That Thursday, the very following day, we will have the winners and losers of the first round. Either the winners and losers of the first round or just grading every first round pick. So you guys will see that Thursday. But anyway, if you guys like this type of content, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at the Buzzer Sports. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at ATB Sports 1. Make sure you guys follow me on TikTok at the Buzzer ENT. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.